Welcome to Muddy River News this week, furnished by Harvey's. I'm Bob Goff. Ryan Tanner has come back to his hometown and made quite an impact in some business ventures, but he's done a lot more than that than we're going to talk about today with his company that he has with his partner, Jay Crottinger, and the Tanninger Companies. And we're talking to Ryan today. Welcome.
Good morning, or I guess good afternoon at this point.
It's great to have you. We've been trying to lock up this visit for quite some time.
Yes.
And but I know you're a busy guy, traveling back and forth here between here and Tulsa, correct?
Correct.
That's the company's home base of operations?
That's right, yes.
Let's talk about the overall umbrella company first. What does Tanninger Companies, what do they bring to the table?
Sure. Well, we're a multi-sectoral company in healthcare, hospitality, commercial and real estate development, entertainment, and e-commerce.
That seems broad.
It is. When I was a little kid, I was terrified of not having a job. And so now I have 6 companies. And, we have so many varied interests, and we've been in healthcare, I would say, let's see, this is going to be my 20th year. And probably about 10 years ago, I said, I really want to have a bailout plan. And about that time, my husband Jay was just finishing his master's degree. And he said, I really want to be involved in entertainment some way. And so we were really fortunate and got offered an opportunity to go to New York and look at a show called Pippin by Stephen Schwartz. The revival, and from there, I said no. There's no way that we can sign on as a co-producer of this show. We live in Oklahoma. We're a little bit, geographically challenged, and but they nonetheless asked us to come on board. And a month later, we'd signed the contract, met our obligations, and then 4 months later, the show opened, and then 5 months later. Pippin won the Tony Award for Best Revival. And
when you look at you getting involved in that it's one of those things that goes back to your roots and being involved with that here at good old Quincy High, right?
A proud student of Kathy Dooley and Dan Sherman, class of '97, yep. And it's kind of interesting because I was behind the scenes. I was actually the camera guy. So I spent 4 years in High School Musical. Well, the only thing I needed to do was just point the camera. Mm-hmm. But I was really fortunate that Kathy Dooley found that spot for me, and that's one of the many talents that I think she has.
Oh, yeah.
is making everyone feel welcome and finding a safe and fun place for them. And so it was perfect for me because I was super shy, but I loved theater. And so it was the best of both worlds.
But you went to college. You didn't major in theater. You majored in political science at Illinois College.
I did. I forgot. Well, I went to John Wood for a semester,
okay, sure.
And then transferred to Illinois College, and not really knowing what I wanted to do. But I was a huge fan of Mayor Chuck Schultz. Here, I was obsessed with the way that he governed. Even as a young kid, I knew that I liked the way that politics and democracy worked in Quincy, and I thought that was admirable. And so I thought for sure I was going to go and one day go into politics, and I did. Eventually, I went to work for Governor Ryan and then Governor Blagojevich.
Right.
But then after that, I said, I'm getting the heck out of politics.
Yeah, I don't. I dipped my toe in that world for a while. But again, I went to a journalism school at Mizzou, and news was always kind of what I wanted to do. But you got to try the political thing every once in a while when you're in communications. It's just kind of part of that thing. So, but one of the other cool things that you did, and I think this is how you got your foot in the door in state government, is you were a Dunn Fellow, correct?
That's correct.
Explain what that is to folks who aren't in the Springfield vernacular.
Yeah, the Dunn Fellowship is one of the most well-funded fellowships in the state, particularly, in the country, as relates to state government. And it's a highly competitive fellowship that's paid well with great benefits. And, I was in Office of Legislative Affairs and Speechwriting. It was a really, really wonderful point of view that I would never have, most people don't ever get to see. And the cool thing about this fellowship is the students from all over the country apply, and there's also no party identification
Right.
So it's really based on merit and your ability to pass a litmus test of interviews and writing processes. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know. And again, on my time over there, I ran into a bunch of people who went through that program, that process, and they all just spoke highly of it. And I think one of the neat things about what you're doing now is your company has also instituted its own fellowship process, correct?
That's correct. We do. We do have a Tanner Fellow. It's a once-a-year opportunity, and it's really fabulous. We've had only one fellow since we started because COVID then happened, but it takes a look at the various interests that we have. And again, whether it's an e-commerce, commercial, or real estate development, hospitality. Everyone kind of always wants to go to the entertainment side. They think that's,
Sure.
And it is a lot of fun, but the healthcare part of it is probably the most serious part of what we do.
Sure.
And healthcare is the most regulated industry in the United States above NASA. Yeah. So it's a very complicated field that we have been fortunate to be in and to lead in, and we hope to be able to do that here in Quincy as well.
And what are the primary healthcare projects that you guys are working on?
Sure. The main project that we're leading the effort on is robotics, and that's specifically centered around hip and knee replacements. That's so many folks have a knee that aches or a hip that's not working, and so we've been in that line of business for, I guess, 15 years, and probably have performed and been a part of 25,000 procedures. And so we market and sell a platform that uses robotic technology to make the cuts around the particular joint that we're working, whether it's a hip or a knee. And so we're really, really very fortunate. The manufacturer that we're with developed the technology, was first to market, and we've had really, really great success. And then on the other side, we have a neurology business which specializes in epilepsy monitoring. So folks who may or may not have seizure type events. And so we are an ambulatory service, so we actually can monitor the patient in their own homes so they don't have to go to the hospital or sleep in a center for 3 to 4 to 5 days.
How did you and Jay come around to Tulsa to be the base of operations for all
Sure.
this?
Well, Jay's from Broken Arrow,
Okay.
Oklahoma, and so it's I had actually was in Quincy. I had a fellowship, not a fellowship. Was working for Mayor Schultz and Chuck Belvelheimer in the Department of Planning in college, and once I graduated, spent time in Springfield and Chicago, and then made my way to Tulsa for a healthcare job. And I thought I'd be there just a few years, and that was in 2003. So.
And now you have decided to come back home to Quincy, and even though Tulsa is still your primary residence, with you and Jay and the company are really doing some great things here. I guess the first to start off with is the patio.
Sure.
I mean, why did you decide to do that instead of just saying, okay, we're going to build this brand new, wonderful place. We're going to take a piece of Quincy tradition and we're going to freshen it up. What drove that process?
Well, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, he and I were at the patio having dinner, and he said, "Do you think you'd ever want to own this?" And I said, "Well, I've always thought that maybe someday I would, but of course I lived in Oklahoma, but I have family here. My grandmother at the time was alive, and my great-grandmother was the first waitress there in 1959 and worked until 1992, so over 30 years. So many of the customers of the patio really had a huge impact on my life, whether they knew it or not. And my mother had me at age 15, and so it was really the tips and the patrons and the family that that owned the patio that were such a powerful influence and support system for myself and my mom and my 3 brothers. And so when I heard it was closing, fast forward, I was just kind of devastated. I thought, how do you have Quincy without the patio? And it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the DNA and the character and the love and the memories. When I thought about how many people have celebrated a loved one from passing, or celebrating someone's graduation, falling in love, or just a simple night out, to me it didn't make sense. It wasn't conceivable that people would no longer have that. And so I called up Mark and Kim and I said, hey, listen, I'd love to buy the patio. They said, well, we'll sell the building, but the patio, it's been in our family for quite a while. I had no real interest in, 54 tenants.
Right.
You know what I mean? And but we looked at it and we decided, if we could buy the property, and if even though we couldn't have the patio name, we would at least still have the space, because in our opinion, the architecture is just so incredible. And obviously with John Binya, it's been, there's several different structures across, the country, and particularly Quincy, that he's had such an influence on. And so we just thought, okay, well, we'll do that. Well, as we kind of approached closing, we were able to negotiate the acquisition of the patio into the final number. And my husband and I closed on it March 19th, 2020, remotely. We both had COVID. Yeah. We were not able to attend. And so here we were kind of writing our life away. And the market and everyone felt like it was kind of,
sure.
I can't say that he was very excited about that. And, we certainly were like, oh no, what have we done? And so we couldn't actually get here for a few weeks. That was again in March of 2020. We got here in April, and our first weekend here, walked downstairs and there's a huge leak in at what was the old banquet room, or the old party room. And because we kind of just thought we were gonna put some paint on it, take up the carpet, and move on. Well, with COVID came the realization that we weren't going to be open for a while, and once we had that leak, it just made sense to start over. And so we just immediately just stripped it down to the bare bones and started from there.
And but you started from, but still it's you still know you're walking into the patio when you walk in there. And I think that's the thing, is that you did freshen it up, you did strip it down, but you built it back to where, even with the floors and everything, it still feels like it. It just feels like an updated version. And I think that's what you were going for. Yeah,
the patio is almost a character and a part of this story, right? Mm-hmm. And when we were working with our marketing company and deciding what were you going to stand for, what was going to be the relatability of the experience, and so we had to come up with adjectives. And so the very first word we came up with was nostalgic. That we had to hold on to those pieces of the past. That included obviously the architectural domes, that included that cylinder concrete wall that was all white, that's now kind of painted a midnight green with a white checkered moment to it. And of course we kept the original 1959 wrought iron chairs, which are really comfortable. It's not like they're uncomfortable wrought iron chairs. And then when we got into the nuts and bolts of it, we ripped up the carpet and found the original terrazzo floors, which really hadn't been touched in 65 years, so they just needed a little bit of shine. And from there, we started to add, a modern take on what I saw recently, an ad for the patio in the 1950s, and it called it a sunken patio on the lower level of the Elkton, and it's kind of it. It's kind of they got it right when they described it like that. And so it's still very much recognizable. The DNA is still there. We still have obviously our onion rings, which are a huge crowd favorite, the pork chop, the filet, the ice cream drinks. We've kept many of those things, but there were some things that needed to go that, like cottage cheese and applesauce.
Understand.
And but we've really tried to help folks understand that this really has nothing to do with Ryan Tanner. It has everything to do with the people that walk through those doors, and that's our customer and our team. And as long as that kind of continues to be our guiding light and our mission, every day it gets better and better. Sure. And for me, when I'm down in the restaurant, it really, truly does not feel like work. Now, I don't know if it will feel that way, in 20 years, but right now it's just pure joy.
And then you have another project going on right across Jersey too, correct?
That's correct. The Armory. Yeah. And that purchase was kind of a geographical, strategic move on our part. The Armory actually didn't have a parking lot, so the patio owns the parking lot that runs parallel to to the Armory. And when Larry called us and said, "Hey, listen, I'm moving on. I need more space." Great for him. Royalty Electric did all of all of the redo at the Elkton and the patio, and we've really developed a wonderful relationship with him. He's a kind, good man. And we walked in and we're like, well, what are we going to use this for? I don't know. But the space was just so dang cool. So we actually partnered with Megan and Ryan Fisher, and they've been really wonderful partners on the entire project. And so I think we will probably hold our first event in March or April of 22, and we can accommodate up to 600 people. And it's a really, really fabulous space. I mean, Quincy is chock full of really neat spaces, and so there's nothing new in that arena, and in the fact that it's still going to be quite a bit different from other spaces that you've seen.
Yeah, I think when you talk about that venue, we went to a point where you didn't have anything, but now we've had a bunch of these pop up, and it's great to have those options that people can go and celebrate and have the events. And I think just the fact that you're taking that part of downtown, and then you just move 3 or 4 blocks over, just right here on 6th Street where we currently are, you've got the Illinois State Bank building too, that is going to be a boutique hotel and a restaurant, correct?
That's correct.
Will it be it's going to be a little different than the patio though, right?
Sure. I mean, we're not going to build any restaurant that's going to compete with the patio.
Sure.
and conversely, we're really, we believe that the lane that which the patio is in a lane that we're not really competing with other folks. We kind of believe that we've kind of carved out something that's a little different. And we will do that also with the restaurant and located inside the hotel. Obviously, it won't be American Bistro. We've got plenty of that here. Right. We've got tiramisu. It won't be Italian. And so we're playing with some concepts, but it will be something that will be new to the market and that's lacking. We don't want to take from, we want to add to.
Well, that sounds exciting, mysterious, but exciting. And then the boutique hotel. I mean, when I used to travel in Chicago a lot, I love staying in the Silversmith and some of the other ones downtown. Is this going to have that same flavor?
Yeah, I mean, we have some interesting challenges. Of course, it was built in 1914. And obviously the project really works because of federal tax dollars. Also Quincy tax dollars, which were a huge benefit and made this project possible, so we can't say thank you enough for that moment. As well as the Illinois state tax credits. When you pull in tax credits, there are certain benchmarks you have to hit. And so there's a lot that we'll be able to change, and then there's a lot that we won't be able to change structurally. But that being said, we will be able to make it a space that pays homage to the past, but also looks to the future. And so we will be able to repurpose it and redesign it in a really comfortable, approachable manner that is a price point that is comfortable within this market, but still a boutique. It is going to be an experience-based hotel and restaurant, much like the patio, and so you will see that throughout the entire space.
How many rooms are going to be able to squeeze in there?
In the main structure, which is floors 2 through 7, probably 35, 37 rooms, and on the addition, which is, by the way, was by John Binya. On the ground level, we're looking to do commercial real estate in there. And we would love to see a coffee shop in there, plus just one tenant, whether it's architectural or a law firm. And then on the second floor, we've got about another 9,000 square feet, and those will be rentable or leasable condos, 1 and 2 bedrooms.
Oh, okay. And the space above the patio, though, those are going to be apartments and lofts, correct?
Those are apartments. We went from 54 apartments to 40, and we've added a gym, and now the utilities are on site, so you don't have to truck your laundry down to the laundromat or anything like that. And then every room is totally gutted and brand new and been remodeled.
And you have occupants now already?
We do. I think we've got 6 apartments available. Okay. So we're really fortunate to maintain folks who were really patient with us through the renovation process. And it's a new community. It's vibrant. Everyone's really kind and takes care of one another. It's a collective moment inside the Elkton that is generous and safe and exciting, and you're above the patio.
It is. It's the whole experience. Again, I think that the money that is being put in, and I think when people talk about, again, a lot of times in Quincy we get caught up on public financing of things, but when you see the private dollars that go in to fuel this, the public portion of that is just so much smaller. And I think when people look at that and say, hey, if we're just going to spend this amount, which isn't insignificant, it's still real money, but you're going to really bring in these opportunities. I think when people just look at that and see what it can create, that's when people really, the light bulbs start turning on and other people want to do other things. And you've got several other people, around town who are doing cool projects. But I think for you to come back and do this in your hometown, again, when you're, the primary base is in Tulsa, but you're making it back here on a pretty regular basis. So.
Yeah, we're here about 10 days on, 10 days off.
Oh, okay.
And, on that subject, this, at the end of the day, we're talking about people, whether you're the customer or you're an employee and a team member. And, between the patio, the armory, and the bank building, and our healthcare portfolio, that'll be about 70 new jobs. Just at the patio alone, we have 35, teammates. It's huge. It's a lot. And so it's a ginormous responsibility for us, but what a great opportunity for Quincy and for folks who want to have be a career-minded person in hospitality or in healthcare. And so when you look at everything that's happening downtown, and I know downtown's not the only part of Quincy.
Absolutely.
Of course, it's really important to note that, but we have to recognize the position where we are, the location and proximity to the river, and the interest of what's happening. I mean, whatever study you look at, you can always go to and look at the heart of a city's downtown, which is really the heart of small and local businesses. And when we promote and build and encourage those, from there you just see growth, and it goes up, not down.
Well, and again, you grew up here, and so in the early 90s, when you were probably in grade school or junior high, the location we're sitting at now.
I remember when this happened.
The Penny Building and the fire. And
that's right.
So, this building sort of rose up from the ashes. And I know that Tom Marks, who owns this property, he has full occupancy now. And I think that's something that everybody is trying to make of their spaces, is find it where somebody can use it, somebody can get something that will be successful. And again, to just look at this and to see this happened, in the late 90s and whatever, and you've got your projects coming on board. I think that people just want to get involved, and again, whether it's downtown or whether it's out by the mall/town center or even going all the way out to the Prairie Crossing area, as long as people are trying and making that investment, that's what we have to do to really fuel this community and kind of keep it going, and to get it back above that magic 40,000 population mark and everything.
I've always said every time when I come home, I was always just like, we still haven't gotten over that. I mean, I really thought by now we'd be 45, 50,000 people. And, it's really about jobs. It's about education. It's the whole component of a community. And it seems to me right now, Quincy is just at that tipping point where we have some decisions to make. Who do we want to be and what do we want to look like? And it seems like we've got the right people who share that vision and understand that it's larger and more important than any one individual. And Quincy is such a giving, smart, capable town. I mean, that's why I'm back. My husband, when I said we're going to Quincy, he was like, "Where? What?" And wait, you'll get it. And we love our time here. We love our time here, and everyone has been so incredibly welcoming. And the notes and the emails and the voicemails we get from people, and it's really been so positive. And so we think, we've brought in quite a few investors. We're constantly bringing folks in and showing them around Quincy and introducing them to Quincy. So we see nothing but a rocket ship going up.
Well, we certainly thank you for having an impact on your hometown, and I thank you for your time today.
It's my pleasure.
All right. That's all the time we have now for Muddy River News this week. Furnished by Harvey's, I'm Bob Goff. Happy New Year, everybody.